This is the AI image generation follow the prompt do-it-yourself benchmark. The prompt that we're using is medium shot of a man wearing all black tracksuit running towards us inside a warehouse that is exploding in the background. The scene is lit mainly by the fires of the explosions. Now, the models that we're giving this exact same prompt, Google's Imagen 4, ChatGPT, Flux Context, the dev version, Grok 4, and Qwen Image. And for fun, Stable Diffusion 1.5, just to compare how far all this tech has come. The first thing we're scoring is medium shot. That's a specific film and photography instruction. You get a wide shot, full shot, medium shot, close-up, extreme close-up. There's a couple of more just for reference. With medium shot, what we're looking for is that the framing is just below the waistline. Starting off with Google Imagen, clearly this is just below the knees. So that's not the shot. The shot should ideally be something like that. So did it follow the prompt in that regards? No, 0 points. ChatGPT, close, right? Ideally, the framing is going to be over here, but I mean, that's not too bad. That's above the knees. So and a little bit of headroom. So we'll give that like 0.5, half a point. Flux Context, well, that's clearly below the knees. That's not the medium shot that we're looking for over here. So no, that's going to be 0. Grok 4, that's a full shot of the individual. That's not following the prompt. So that's a 0. And then Qwen Image, I'm going to be honest, this is probably my favorite so far. But in this category, clearly this is not a medium shot at all. So it's going to have to be 0 points there. Stable Diffusion, 1.5. It's come a long way, but I mean, this was the beginnings. This is for fun. I mean, there's a whole lot of other questions going on over here, but mainly let's just say this is the main figure and that is not a medium shot. So clearly 0 points there. The second detail we're scoring is a man. How good is the AI drawing of the person? Are there obvious mistakes we can spot? With Google's Gemini, clearly this is a man. I don't see any obvious mistakes. Everything seems to be on point. Hands, face. Yep, that's definitely a full point. Next up, ChatGPT. Not so great. I mean, you kind of see this is got that AI look, but let's be fair. Correct. Everything correct. That's a point. Flux Context Dev. Well, the hands are correct. This is a man. Does look like a man. Okay. 1 point. And Grok. Well, that is a man. Something funny going on with the eyes over there. But hey. And that doesn't look too good. So, nah. To be fair, the rest of it checks out. So maybe let's just give that 0.5. Qwen Image. Now, this is a dynamic image. So this is based on what we're seeing over here. You know, this is like a frame of a moving image. So the blur going on over here in the foreground kind of matches the blur going on over here. So we give it that. But anatomically, this is a man. Full point. Stable Diffusion. Well, like we said previously, we're going to be focusing on this guy. And, there are mistakes. there are mistakes. He wouldn't be, look at the way that leg is bent. That is not how a leg is, that's not how legs work. It's completely blurry. What's going on with the hands over there? So, nah, that's a complete 0 for Stable Diffusion 1.5. Third detail we're scoring, wearing all black tracksuit. Is it a black tracksuit? 1 point. Is there detail that makes it look like a believable, distinct design of a tracksuit? That's another point. Google Gemini, is it a black tracksuit? Indeed it is, yes, 1 point. Does it have details that makes it believable, that it's unique? Well, clearly it does. Look at the touch of that over there, bit of a logo thing going on over here, and the sensibility of having the design followed through, like that's clearly another point. So definitely 2 points. Clearly. Now with ChatGPT, yeah, that is 1 point for a black tracksuit. Does it have any distinct details that makes it look like it's a genuine, unique style? I suppose there is a hint of a zip over there, so it's clearly just all black. So okay, we'll give it another point. So that's 2 points. And then with this flux context, that is clearly a design that we kind of recognize, and that is something going on over there. But this is not a full tracksuit combo, right? If we're going to be fair about it, it's not a full tracksuit combo, because let's look at the facts here. This is a hoodie that is not matching the bottom half. So these are two different outfits. So, how do we tracksuit pants? I guess let's give it half a point for tracksuit pants, but that is clearly something separate. So half a point flux context is all it's gonna get. And then with Grok over here, this is a black tracksuit. True. It does look like a combination of, it does look like the same fabric. So that's 1 point. Does it look like a unique design? I mean, technically, I guess you have to be fair. It is the same color. It does look like the same outfit if you look at the way the light is hitting over here and the way the light is hitting over here. That it looks like the same thing. So okay, we'll give it another point, and full 2 points. Quinn image. Da-da. The dynamic image. Well, clearly that is a black tracksuit. It looks like the same outfit. It does have a unique design, making it look distinct. It's got that zipper over there, and think you're getting the bottom half of that design continuing, or maybe I'm just reaching and that's just like the socks or something, but it does look like one outfit if you look at the way the light is hitting over here and the way the light is hitting over here. That is the same outfit. So full 2 points, no problem. And then here we go again with Stable Diffusion 1.1, where let's keep it a buck. It's just like the beginnings. To be fair, that is a black tracksuit, so it gets 1 point. It does look like it's the same outfit. It is one distinct design, which is just a blank tracksuit. So look, we're just trying to be fair, but Come to think of it, something is going on over there that's not quite right. What is that? Is it like a sweater with the neck thing going on? And what kind of... that makes it look like more of a separate top compared to that, and it's not really one outfit. So we might have to actually remove that point, ladies and gentlemen, because that's not quite it. Unique style, 0. Full tracksuit, 0. Now we're just gonna have to stick with 0. The fourth thing we're scoring is he running towards us, directly facing the camera? 1 point. Running towards us at an angle? We'll give that half a point. With the Gemini generation, he is definitely running towards us, clearly. That's a full point. With Chat GPT, clearly running towards us, that is a full point. Flux Context, running towards us, not exactly. Running at an angle, technically, I guess if we're going to be fair, eventually he's running in our direction. He's slightly facing us, so I guess that gets half a point. Grok 4, clearly running towards us. Qwen Image, running towards us at an angle, not directly towards us, more like this direction as opposed to full on as the instruction was. So let's be fair, that's half a point. Stable Diffusion, no, not running towards us, completely 0. Fifth, does the background look like a warehouse exploding? 1 point if it looks like a warehouse, another point if it looks like an explosion is currently happening. With Google's Gemini, yep, this does look like a warehouse, clearly. So that's 1 point. And does it look like an explosion is currently happening? Well, yep, pretty much. You got things flying away, you've got the flame, you've got, out of focus sparks. Like, okay, yeah, so that's a full point. 2 points. Chat GPT, does it look like a warehouse? It does look like stuff is stacked over here. It does look like you can drive trucks into this place. It does look like it's indoors. So, okay, 1 point. And does it look like an explosion is currently happening? I would say over here, it sort of looks like there's a fire already going on. But this fireball over here and some of these things does look like an explosion is currently happening. You got a bit of dark smoke over here. You got this ball of flame also rising. Okay, you've earned the 2 points. ChatGPT. Flux Context. Well, this doesn't really look like a warehouse. I mean, this is looking like sand, to be honest. This doesn't look like an indoor floor. I don't see any walls over here. I don't see any windows. I don't see anything reflecting, anything showing that this is indoors. It kind of looks like a desert, to be honest. So no point for does it look like a warehouse. And does it look like an explosion is currently happening? I would say no. This looks like stuff burning. I don't see any debris flying in the process of flying, so Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting that, so that's actually 0 points for that part of the prompt. Grok, well, this does look like a warehouse, so that's a point. Does it look like an explosion is happening? No, I don't think so. This just looks like fire. This just looks like stuff that's burning, really. It doesn't look like an explosion is currently happening in that moment. So Grok just gets 1 point for that. And Quinn Image, well, it does look like a warehouse. Although I'm a bit finicky about what's going on over here. You've got nighttime, but over here you've got daytime. But you know what? It could be argued that you've got security lights outside that are just turned towards the wall on the outside. So that's why, like, if the light is right there, that's why this is all blown out. So, I don't think the prompt said anything about daytime. So, benefit of the doubt, look. The question is, did it follow the prompt in terms of, is this inside a warehouse? Yes, check. So it gets a point there. And does it look like an explosion is currently happening? Absolutely. Look at that fireball. Look at that projection. Look at that. It's just a whole lot of things going on. That's absolutely an extra point. So that's 2 points for Quinn Image. Stable diffusion, 1.5. I mean, this is the foundation. You gotta be kind. Does this look like the inside of a warehouse? No. 0. Does it look like an explosion is currently happening? No. It just looks like an explosion already happened, and there's fire burning over here, fire burning over here, fire burning over here, and a couple of people that we didn't prompt for showing up. So no, absolutely 0. Shame. Stable diffusion 1.5. It's all good. It's just the beginning. Sixth, each model is going to have the opportunity to score 3 points in this round. First point is going to be, how is he lit? Is it coming from the flames behind him and around him? And the second point is going to be from, how is the rest of the warehouse lit? Is it mainly from the flames? Because that's what the prompt is calling for. Extra point is going to be for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks. So here we go. With Gemini, first point, how is he lit? This is really about aesthetics, right? When we're talking about filmmaking. And this, to be honest, the light on his face, it kind of looks like the entrance of the warehouse ends over here, and now he's outside. So I would say he's being lit mainly from daylight coming from outside. And so we can't really give a point for following the prompt specifically. How is he lit? So that's a 0 from that. But is the light from the rest of is the light in the warehouse being lit? Is the warehouse being lit by the fire? Yes, we'll give it that. I mean, the rest of the warehouse is being lit by the flames of the fire. You got that nice glow over here, that nice glow over here. You got what's happening over here. So 1 point for that. Extra point for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks. I would say that is a full point. I mean, that does look like quite the realistic explosion going on over there. So all in all, Gemini scores 2 points. With this one, Where is this light coming from? Where's this light coming from? We don't have flames in the foreground over here. So, no. How is he lit? Flames behind him, around him? We'll just give this like 0.5 because he is kind of lit from the back there with the flames throwing some of that. You know what? If we go back to Gemini, I wouldn't say the flame is making any part. It's that'll remain 2 points. So from here, we'll just give it half a point for that first section. How is he lit? Because the flames from behind are throwing a bit of glow there. And then after that, half a point. How is the rest of the warehouse lit? I think it scores pretty well over here because there is no light whatsoever from anywhere else in terms of lighting up the warehouse. So the background, you see this light is clearly from the flames. You see this light is this is clearly from the flames. And then this is so beautiful. The reflection on the floor coming clearly from these flames. So that's a full point right there. And now extra point for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks. I would say look at the way it's less intense over here, how it's intense from the source of the explosions, how some things are already lit over here, how the fireball is happening over here, how it's smoking out over here. So yeah, I mean, let's call that an extra point. So that's 2.5 for ChatGPT. Flux context. Well, how is he lit? This is beautiful. The way the light is being thrown onto the body here, it's clearly coming from the flames behind there. So yeah, give that a full point. Light in the rest of the warehouse. We already established from the previous round that this doesn't look like a warehouse, but for the purposes of how is the scene being lit, there's no other source of light. It all looks like this is smoky, hazy smoke from the flames. This looks like it's all being, everything in the scene is being lit by these flames in the background. So okay, we'll give it a full point. Extra point for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks. It does look realistic, but the point is fire from the explosion, and it doesn't okay, this is a hard one. If we're taking the specifics of the prompt, only laser focused on extra point for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks, we could argue that this is after the explosion has happened, like a couple of seconds or minutes after the explosion happens, and stuff is just on fire. So it didn't score on does it look like an explosion is currently happening, but it does score on how realistic is the fire looking. So with that, do we give it half a point or we give it a full point? Let's give it a full point because this is specifically about how realistic the fire looks. So, okay, 3 points. Grok. Well. How is he lit? Where is this light coming from? Where is this light coming from? That's clearly not being lit by the flames, the explosion in the background. So we give that a 0. Now, light in the rest of the warehouse, being mainly lit by the flames, well, it would score if this is all that we were seeing in terms of the lighting coming from the flames. But then you've got this blue light coming from somewhere, as if there's moonlight shining in out of nowhere. And what is this? Okay, this is smoke, and why is it looking a little bluish? And where's this light coming from? What is this being lit by? Clearly not the flame. It's that color doesn't match. So this is a nice touch. This is a nice touch. I mean, this is a nice touch. So we'll give it 0.5 for trying, just trying. And then, does it get an extra point for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks? No. This looks like something just was set on fire. It wasn't really an explosion. I'm talking about the section over here. The wall is pretty much intact. So where's the Nah, we're not going to give an extra point. It's just going to be 0.5 for Grok for this part of the prompt. Quinn image. This is something. This is something. How is he lit? Well, the prompt did say from the flames around him. So I would have a problem with how that is looking on his hands and on his face. But to be fair to the model, you've got light coming in from here and you've got light coming in from here. So it does make sense that you have this color light, you have this color light, you have him lit like this, you have him lit like this. That does make sense, right? So at the end of the day, let's give it half a point, because with that, I mean, yeah, hold on, let me get my bearings here. How is he lit with the flames around him and behind him? Look, he's well lit. He's well lit, but it's not sticking to the prompt strictly. So we'll give it half a point, just to be fair. How is the light in the rest of the warehouse? Is it mainly from the flames? No, because again, we've got this light coming in that we didn't specify should be happening. We said mainly lit from the warehouse. So you mainly lit from the flames, but you have that reflecting the fire. You have that light from the fire. You have that light from the fire. You have, look at that. This such a nice touch, just like water reflecting the fire in the background. You have some of that. Okay, so we'll just give it, like, it's not meeting the prompt precisely because it's introducing a light that we didn't ask for. So we'll say half a point. Right. Now, does it get the extra point for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks? Absolutely, man. Look at that. That looks like this is actually happening in this moment, and he just got out of there in the nick of time. So full point for that, and that brings it to 2 points for Quinn image. Stable Diffusion 1.5. How is he lit? Well, we don't know what's going on, man. It's pretty flat over here. And where's this light coming from? We'll give that a 0. And the light in the rest of the warehouse is mainly from the flames. Oh, well, this is just like a gray thing going on. We don't know where the light motivation. There's 0. And extra light for how realistic the fire from the explosion looks. I mean, if it was 480p, maybe, you know, yeah, let's 0.5. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. So 0.5 for Stable Diffusion 1.5. ChatGPT 5, the clear winner of the follow the prompt, do it yourself benchmark. I didn't expect that. I really like the Quinn image picture. In the next video generations like that. If you want to see that, well, tell the algorithm to show you this channel again by pressing subscribe and like. Otherwise, we might not see each other again. YouTube is pretty big. It's like billions of videos and channels. You'd be like, whoa, what was the name of that channel? What was the name of that channel? What was the name of that channel? Oh, what was the name of that channel?